In terms of the process, so you've already mentioned demoing, working with you as a music supervisor, and then it goes to the agency or the client. Um, I guess the fun question would be, how often does that all go crazy for you? Because that's the side we never see. Are there times when you've been completely surprised
What, by the
by the
decision?
choices? Yeah.
Oh, every time. It's really hard to call it. Sometimes I'm just like, that demo is banging, that's the best one, they're gonna go for it, and then they pick like the one that I would never have guessed would, the one that's totally off brief. Um, sometimes it's worth always really throwing in a wild card, something that they maybe hadn't thought of. Um, and seeing, how far you can push them. It's always fun to do that with clients too, from our perspective, not just give them 3 demos that all hit the brief completely perfectly. Sometimes you want to, brief one that's a little bit more left field, one that's maybe a bit more stripped back, just so that you're kind of covering the bases. The way we generally work is, when we get a brief in, we will work with 3 composers, and brief out to 3 different composers to get the demos. And we know that we're usually up against at least 1, if not 2 other, sometimes 3, but usually 1 or 2 other music agencies also getting 3 or so demos. So I would say probably averaged maybe a 1 in 10 chance or something. And yeah, America's actually a bit better with that, working with the States. They generally will pick a supervision company and just work with them, which is a much nicer process, because you can be a lot more collaborative. A lot of the time we are just pitching in the dark, and a director can just listen to something on the radio that morning and go, actually, throw out the brief, I'm picking this song, and then you're like, okay. So yeah, you can't see everything coming. And yeah, it's a manic, crazy world, but it's exciting. Every brief is so different, and it keeps you on your toes. And if that's, and it stops you overthinking everything as well, which I really like. And I know some composers really like that, because you can't spend 2 months thinking about the mix, or 2 years thinking about the mix. You just have to get it down and out and onto the next one. And that can be a really fulfilling process.
Yeah, and it's so good for your ego, isn't it? Because you haven't got time for it, basically.
Yeah.
You're just like, done, send, notes, fix, send. That's the end of the process. Yeah.